Good afternoon and welcome to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host Rian Hobson, and we're doing actually today quite a bump up FX market that we have, especially starting from tomorrow. Excuse me, starting from tomorrow. Wednesday will be a big day, Thursday as well, and also Friday. Today will be a bit mellow. I see actually strength in the US dollar, but I expected more to come tomorrow and onwards. Now, before I go through the news, please do subscribe for my YouTube page. Please send a comment. So if you have a question, I can answer it. Please send comments, and please subscribe for my YouTube page. Now, the thing is, where we have on Tuesday at 2:30 South African time, we will have the CPI of the United States, and then we have the core CPI as well from the United States. Now, the forecast there month over month is 0.5%, and then also core CPI at 0.4%. They do expect a bit of a slower inflation in the United States, but that we need to wait for tomorrow because there's a lot of factors that goes in. Wage inflation still strained from the supply side. So maybe inflation will come down, maybe inflation will not. But if inflation comes down, we will have to see what is the reaction of the market, especially your US dollar. So the best thing to do is rather to wait for the news to come out and see what is the reaction. There will be a bit quite confusion. Maybe the Federal Reserve is right by saying that inflation is transitory, and maybe not. The best thing is to do is rather not to open up trades today or tomorrow, because the inflation news will be a big one for tomorrow at 2:30. Then we have on Wednesday, we will have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's monetary policy that will be out. Look, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand did actually talking about tightening monetary policy or scaling back on their asset purchase. So that will be a big one. We will have to see what is the news there. And then we have the British CPI, which will come forecast at 2.2%. We will see what is the outcome of that. US PPI inflation will be late in the day on Wednesday at -2%, which they expect. Then for me, the big one will be actually the Bank of Canada's monetary policy. Look, after last week, they had quite a huge jump in their employment numbers. So I want to see, will the Bank of Canada taper more? And that will definitely shoot up the Canadian dollar. Now, you might have two phases of trade. That is the whole thing, because you will have maybe bumped up news on Tuesday out of the United States, which will be the inflation number. And then the New Zealand and the Bank of Canada can talking about of tapering. And then afterwards, you will have the Federal Reserve where Jerome Powell will testify. So it is really a complex market for this week. It depends now whose news is more important than the other. But if New Zealand, Canada is talking about tapering, then I think the New Zealand dollar could spike. If the inflation number in the United States is strong, but Jerome Powell is talking it down, then we might see a continuation of these currencies, New Zealand, Canada, Australia, and all of them go up, and then the dollar will weaken. So the best thing is to do is, personally for me, is to sit on the fence tomorrow, sit on the fence today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, because I don't think there will be a clear direction because New Zealand will give a monetary policy. I think the best clear direction is when Jerome Powell will be testifying on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we will have the employment news out of Australia that come out. They do expect a plus 20,000 jobs that will be created there. And they say that the unemployment rate will go down to 5%. That is quite a good forecast for Australia. Then on top of that, we have the Chinese GDP numbers that come out. Now, for a very long time, a few months now in a row, where the Chinese data didn't come out so well. So I do think maybe they will have an 8%, which is the forecast, or maybe below 4% a GDP number. Then the Federal Reserve will testify again on Thursday. But I think the big one is on Wednesday, where he will start to actually testify. Then New Zealand CPI number comes out. Now, whatever the New Zealand monetary policy states on Wednesday, if they say they're going to taper, then basically the CPI news on Friday will be totally irrelevant, because everybody will go on to New Zealand trend and buy actually New Zealand, because they will scale back on their assets purchase program. Then we have the core retail sales out of the United States, which will be now later on Friday, which they expect a 0.4% for core retail sales and retail sales at 0.5%. Same story. If Jerome Powell is talking, maybe downplay the whole thing of tapering or lifting up the interest rates anytime soon, then I think the dollar will actually go down, and that news of Friday will be totally irrelevant. So it all depends from the monetary policies of these guys, which is New Zealand, Canada. New Zealand and Canada comes into play, and then also the data from Australia. Australia's monetary policy last week was a bit upbeat because they say they are scaling down on their asset repurchase program, which they will review at the end of this year. So it all depends on the monetary policy, but I think the big one here will be Jerome Powell. Because whatever he says, which I think personally, he will downplay the story of tapering. And I think that will actually maybe weaken the US dollar. But that we need to wait and see. That is just my opinion, but we need to wait and see. If that happens, he will downplay the whole story of inflation, depending on what is inflation tomorrow. If inflation is bad tomorrow, for example, the forecast is 0.5%. It came out maybe 0.2%. It's far less. Then definitely he will say no, he was right and it was transitory, and then you will see the dollar goes down. But that depends on tomorrow, and I think tomorrow will be the course of the day, and then we will see Federal Reserve Chair on Wednesday. But for that, the market will be a bit touch and go, but it all starts tomorrow, and I will update you every single day on what is this inflation news and also how will the market respond to it. So please do subscribe to my YouTube page, put in your comments so that I can answer them, and I will definitely be here again at 1 o'clock at the same time. Bye-bye.